What's up, everyone? Welcome to S-TEC Live. My name is Tony, and I'm the social media coordinator here at the Peter E. Schmidt Company. If you don't know who we are a manufacturer's representative in the New York metro area. We represent leading audiovisual brands including SKB, K&M, HOSA, just to name a few. But today, the focus is on lighting. JMAZ Lighting. If you don't know who they are, well, you're going to learn about that today. We are going to be having a conversation about who they are, what they make, and what makes them stand out in a crowded market. Towards the end, we are going to be having a Q&A portion, so if you have any questions for JMAZ, please leave them in the Q&A section here on Zoom, and we will answer them. Frank Conway, VP here at PES, will be putting links in the chat for you to reference throughout the event. If you hear a random glorious voice coming through at some point, that would be coming from Frank. We have Eric from JMAZ joining us, and our very own Zack is going to be leading the conversation for today. But before we get into that, check this out.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, no, I got distracted.
Yeah, that is, well, first of all, hello, Eric. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you taking the time, waking up so early to get here because you're in California time. And yeah, that was the first time I watched that video. I know you sent it earlier, but I kind of wanted to be surprised and get my first reaction from it. That, can you give me a little bit of background on that? Where was it done? How many lights were we using?
Yeah, so good morning, Zach. Happy to be here. Thank you guys for having us. We're very excited and honored to be a part of a S-TEC Live video. But yeah, this video is from the LDI show 2019 held at the Las Vegas Convention Center. Quite honestly, there's more fixtures on there than I can count. Edgar Gonzalez, our in-house lighting designer, he put this design together for us. And of course, our team, took his concept and made it a reality, which is, what we see here on the side.
That is huge. I mean, we're all waiting for conventions to start back up again. Hopefully in next 21, 22, we'll start to be able to go and see these things live, but the video is just as impressive as if seeing it there in person.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Tony said it earlier, the real concept of what we want to do on the stream, or the main idea, is we want to know who JMAZ is, what do they have that's different in such a crowded market for lighting. And we have a few questions from our dealers, a few potential dealers who are hopefully on the call right now. We got questions from them we're going to ask you, and then we're just going to have a conversation about it. So the first is, who is JMAZ?
Yeah, so we're an entertainment lighting company. A big piece of our core business has been in the DJ market. and that's really, I think, what we're known for is that piece of the business. But I think we're more than just that. Being a smaller, newer company, sometimes you don't have the SKUs to separate. There's brands out there that have a mobile entertainer or DJ line, and they also have a professional grade of products. And we kind of bundle that all together. So we like to think of ourselves as a solutions-based company. We offer solutions for everybody.
Absolutely. Now, how long have you guys actually been around for?
So JMAZ, interesting history with JMAZ in regards to, when we actually started, as a lighting company. So that dates back about 6 years now. Wow. Jason, the owner, kind of dabbled into lighting as a passion project, and it started transforming into something more than what he thought it would be. Really, I think the driving force behind the brand is innovation and value. So it began to transform from this small passion project into what it's becoming today.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at your list of products that you guys offer, and some of it is things that I haven't seen on the market yet, or at least offered by other manufacturers. And you mentioned Jason, he's the owner. He's the one who created most of these things or thought up the ideas of them and brought them to life. How did he kind of start that? Do you know anything behind that? I know you're not Jason, and but still, it's an interesting concept to jump into such a competitive market, oversaturated market in some ways, and to still make products that no one has seen before is amazing.
Yeah, and definitely that's no different here in California, in the Los Angeles area where we're headquartered out of. A lot of product lands here in Los Angeles, so it's very easy to get lost in the shuffle of these other brands that are out there, who are whatever their goal is at the end of the day, whether it's to become a recognized brand or just to hey, we have opportunity here to sell some product, right? So for Jason, he's actually electrical engineering background. He graduated in computer sciences and computer engineering. He used to make very high-end and powerful chips for some prominent brands out in the marketplace.
Mentioning any names.
But the story is, or as it's been told to me, is that he just kind of got bored with that. Essentially, a computer is a computer, right? We can make them bigger, we can make them smaller, we can make them faster, we can make them slower,
right?
But that's it. It does what it does. It computes information, and that's the extent of it, at least in his thoughts and in his vision. So he looked for other opportunities. He's very much a hustler, if you will. He's on the grind constantly. Sometimes I'm up in the middle of the night, something comes to mind, I shoot him a quick text message, and to my surprise, he'll respond. It's 1 a.m. And he's like that. And, sometimes I'll wake up at 6 a.m. and I have 2, 3, 4 emails from him at 2 a.m. About something that we're working on. So
you're
he's very much
when I get emails or text messages at 2 a.m. that are work related, I'm just like, oh, until 6 a.m, and we'll get to it.
Right. Yeah. So he's that way, and so lighting grabbed his attention. It was just one of those things that this was kind of something that little passion project that he wanted to kind of dabble at.
Cool. Well, glad he did, because we're going to get into that in a second, but the list of products that are offered is impressive. Now, you mentioned a few things in there that I wanted to touch on. How has the lighting industry been for you guys lately? Obviously, with 2020, COVID affected live sound 100%. I think it completely died down, but we're seeing a small revival of that, at least in New York City. You guys are in California, so you have a completely different perspective of it than we do. I'm just kind of curious what you've been seeing over there.
Yeah, so we've definitely seen the trends and the waves, right, with the openings and the closings of different venues or what's allowed and what's not allowed. So we've seen the wave. Obviously I think we've done a pretty good job weathering through this situation. Knock on wood. Thank the person above for how fortunate we've been throughout this whole situation. Our entire team is still on staff. We've been very blessed in that manner. In fact, we've actually opened up some new positions that we just started filling recently. to help with the demand. And folks like you at Peter E. Schmidt are really making a big push for the brand. And I think you guys believe in the story behind JMAZ. You guys know firsthand. And again, what we're doing here today is sharing that. So yeah, we've definitely seen, the waves, and we're starting to really see that trend of more interest, right? The phones are ringing, the emails are coming in. We're starting to get more POs. You're seeing more interest from dealers who were, a month ago, 13 months ago, when we first started working together, when you guys first said, all right, we're official March 1st, right?
About a month later is when we closed down.
Did we know? Yeah, little did we know. So yeah, we're, as I think you guys are starting to see that trend towards reopening, we're definitely seeing that. And of course we handle, everything nationally, North America, South America.
Right.
We do have an office in Germany. So we're starting to see a lot of that start to trend.
It's awesome. I mean, that I handle a lot of things on the retail side. But JMAZ has such a larger reach than just retail, resellers going to the end user. It also goes to pro and to systems and everything like that. I know that we've been seeing, or there's been talk of things reopening soon, at least slowly, small percentages in the live venue market. Has that been for you guys as well? You've seen like small bands going around, actually playing live with people in the venues?
Yeah, definitely. Again, we're seeing the, really, I would say during the pandemic and with the small openings, we saw a lot of the outdoor stuff, right?
Right.
So we saw fixtures that are more oriented towards outdoor use, whether it be battery powered or even like our Firestorm cold spark machines, things like that. So we're seeing a lot more of that happening during the pandemic, and now that we're shifting back to indoor opportunities, we're starting to see more of that traditional stuff. So definitely getting word back for essentially, a rig of lights for a small band or a mobile entertainer.
Absolutely. So one of the big things that you mentioned earlier is you guys are not just a small DJ lighting brand. You guys cater to a lot of other verticals, like I mentioned earlier. What are some of the main products that put you into those categories?
Yeah, so we're by no means are we some conglomerate that has every touring fixture out there, but we definitely have fixtures that fit that category. Some reasoning why we're not with separation, as I mentioned earlier, with DJ versus pro, but we do have fixtures like the Pixeltron 740Z, which is a wash moving head fixture, 740 watt RGBW LEDs that has that the Tron effect, right? The honeycomb overlay that's a graphic effects.
Yeah.
That's one of our more geared towards that pro market, being with those 40 watt LEDs. They're super bright. Most small venues, it would just be overkill. When we look at other fixtures like the ACO Beam 230, that's a short arc discharge. What most people will know this as a 7R lamp made by Osram. And this again is a very, very intense fixture. Will literally burn holes in the ground, right? In carpet, in the wood flooring, in the walls. Yeah, so very intense, high output. And being that it's a traditional discharge lamp, it will it does create and generate a lot of heat. So this is something for larger rigs or touring or large venues.
Heck yeah. And I think Frank is posting links for all these products that we're mentioning. We're not going to go too into depth of what the products are, but there are links if you guys want to research them. Click the link, reach out to either myself. You can reach out to Eric. Anyone on the Peter E. Schmidt team is happy to help. So definitely do a little more digging into that. Let's see here. Perceived in the industry. I mean, we already kind of went over that, how you want to be perceived in the industry. It's not just DJ products. It is fantastic for that. I mean, you have a multitude of battery powered lights that is great for the touring musician, the guy who's doing the backyard house party. And we cater to that. We have the pro lights as well. One thing that I'm kind of curious about, and something that I kind of dabbled in as well, was during COVID, during lockdown, manufacturers were picking different products to work with that specific situation. The USB microphones became extremely popular. The interfaces exploded in sales. How did JMAZ incorporate itself into 2020? How did we keep consistent sales? What products did people use? Stuff like that.
Yeah, well, it's pretty interesting. What we saw a lot of in those, during the core piece of the pandemic, right, where we were pretty tightly locked down. Integration, installation, that was a very big piece of our business throughout that time. So we did see some trends with a vast variety of our products. But when we talk about the home user, the person sitting behind the camera for Zoom meetings or Facebook Lives or YouTube Live or the different options, we did see, like you mentioned, some of that battery powered stuff, our MadPar uplights used in the background. Yeah, used in the background just to add some ambient light. Another perfect example is Tony's intro. You see the Galaxy tubes mounted on the wall behind him. So it's just for that ambient effect, that look, to add an extra dimension. Otherwise, this is just it's conversation, right? It's the radio. You hear it, but you can't see it, you can't feel it, right? It adds that additional dimension.
One of the big things that I noticed too is, because I have some JMAZ lights behind me. I was using it when I was, streaming or doing a Zoom call or anything like that. I would like to throw it in there for the ambience lighting. How quiet the light is, it blew me away, because I thought I was going to turn it on, hear this large fan. I was going to be picking up on the microphone. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to use it with, when you're streaming, you have multiple people watching. But that wasn't the case. These things are quiet, which is impressive. Does that go into the manufacturing that you guys do, the fan that you use, anything like that? Or is it just, it is what it is?
No, it's definitely part of the engineering process. A lot of times we understand, especially with installation, we get installed in a theater, or we get installed in a museum, for example. Last thing you want is that ambient noise of fans spinning on these fixtures that are, creating that dimension like we talked about. Right. So like with the MadPars, for example, those are fanless. There is no fan at all. Right. Obviously, there at that point, we've engineered it to have a large heat sink to avoid that.
Got one of those guys back there, which does have a fan in it. Mm-hmm. That is the 100Z, the Atco Wash 100Z. So, okay. And that thing does have a fan, and that it's not loud either.
Yeah, and so that goes back to our engineers being able to develop the product with a heat sink large enough to where it uses just a smaller fan, and also the quality of the fan. We're not jamming these products full of lower quality parts. We do use high quality parts, which is why we're able to comfortably offer the warranty that we offer, knowing that we don't expect failure to be a high rate when it comes to these products.
That's huge. And that's actually one of my questions that I had later on is the LEDs that you guys use are much higher tier than what you normally find in this price point. How are you guys able to sell that at that price point and still have those high quality products in there?
Well, what it comes down to, like we talked about a little bit earlier, I touched on innovation, value, right? We're not a large company. We're not bloated in a way where we have this tremendous overhead where we need to jam the prices up, right? Right. Granted, we're not an off-the-shelf company, and by that I mean we're not just some company that's picking stuff off of a shelf from some factory that we don't have any idea of in China, right? I mean, this is product that we do a lot of research, engineering, and design here in California. We have team here that work out of our office in Los Angeles that do that for us. So with that said, yes, there are costs behind it. Yes, our price point is extremely aggressive in our market. But that's just part of who JMAZ is, right? We're not looking to fly by night, right? We're not just looking to see what we can grab out of the industry and run away. We're really here to establish ourselves and build a brand based on those core values: innovation, the value, and customer service.
So customer service, that's a big one too, because every reseller, potential reseller I've spoken to where they've had a light come in, or even end users, you were telling me the phone rings personally for you when someone's calling for a question. That seems so hands-on and so, it adds an extra touch that a lot of other manufacturers don't do. I think it's just a nice thing to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
But jumping into something else that is very interesting to me, and I know a lot of other lighting manufacturers do this, but you guys have non-flicker LEDs. And I think that's extremely important A little backstory behind it too is, I'm not a huge lighting guy. A lot of my background comes from pro audio and photography and video and stuff. And Tony, the guy who introduced us, was asking us to come in and set up the S-TEC Live production studio. We sat down, we had all these lights. Our park cans are really old from the 1980s. The things were falling apart. And as soon as we signed on with JMAZ, we flipped them all out to JMAZ products. I'm sitting there going like, these lights are for stage use. How is that going to work in a video studio? Something like that. And I was blown away by how much control we had. None of the flickering on the LEDs when we were using DSLR cameras. How can JMAZ be incorporated into other places that are not just on stage? We already kind of went over the work from home thing where you have them as ambient lighting, but you can also use them in a production suite, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so really it comes down to the engineering side of things and when we're doing our development on our products. For those who are aware of flicker-free LEDs or the technology behind LED, they're basically a traditional light bulb, incandescent light bulb, takes direct power, and the power is constant. It stays on, and that's what keeps it lit, right? You have a coil that heats and creates the light. Right. With LED, the engine that drives the LED sends pulses of light, of power to the LED, which then turns it on. So it's not a constant power running through it, right, which is part of the green initiative of energy efficient products and things like that, right? So it's not constantly shooting power; it pulses power to the LED. Right. So what you see when you get those LEDs that flicker is essentially that pulse of power turning the LED on. And so if the frame rate on the camera is higher than the refresh rate on that light, you're going to see that flicker. Right. So what we do on our side is we, of course, increase that pulse, or its pulse width modulation, PWM. We increase that so that the LED refreshes faster than the average camera, so that you don't catch that flicker.
That's incredible. So what do you guys do when cameras, keep upgrading and upgrading and the frame rate gets higher and higher? Are you guys just going to be able to keep increasing the pulse that it has? Is that
so? One thing that our team has been looking at, and one thing that, we're not the first to offer this, but we talk about this on all of our products being flicker free, and this is our first generation of lighting products, call it, right? But with future generations and future iterations of our products, and as we go into more studio and theatrical friendly lighting, we're going to give you that control. We're going to give the light designers that control to adjust what level of refresh those LEDs are at. So that's going to be something that you can control internally on the fixture or remotely through RDM.
Nice. So then that kind of brings up the next question. This is a reseller question. They were having some complaints about the actual menu itself, about how to navigate it. And I was sitting there, I was like, you don't really even have to use the menu that much, do you? You can just plug it into a DMX controller and let it roll. So if that's an issue and you have a few of them rolling, plug it in, completely avoid that entirely.
Yeah. It really depends on the user. If we look hard enough, we're going to find problems with anything. It doesn't matter, what it is, whether it's a light or a speaker or an amp or a mixer, right? We're going to find a problem, something that I don't like or that, I'm not comfortable with. And not to say that, we're perfect, and not to say that we have everything figured out, right? We're doing our best to, make our products as user-friendly as possible. But in many instances, I'm sorry?
It is, though. Like the user interface is fairly smooth to navigate through. I didn't really have any issues with it. It's just the thought that you don't even really need to use it. Right. If you're hooked up to a DMX controller, you completely avoid that aspect of the light entirely.
Yeah, absolutely. You put it into DMX mode, you connect to whatever board that you already have, or if you use something like our D24 wireless DMX controller. I mean, these are options that you could get to completely avoid. And the last thing I wanted to mention on this was, a lot of our products out of the box come with RF remote controls or IR remote controls. So there's a lot of, we're giving you everything without selling it as an upgrade, right? You're not having to, it has wireless remote capabilities, but it's an extra $50 to buy that remote. this is in the box already. So when you open this thing up, you're ready to rock and roll and get things going.
That's huge. Now you mentioned the RF remotes. Can you go into a little more detail about that? Like, what are they used for? Not just, the RF, but the IR as well. How is that incorporated into lights? Everything along those lines.
Sure. So, for our uplights, we have the MadPar series, which is our battery powered uplights, which use an IR remote control. And this is going to give you control over that fixture instead of flipping the unit over and working with that onboard menu system. You grab that remote control, you point it at the fixture, and you can pick static colors. You can go through internal programs, sound activated modes. You can turn the fixture off if you're not ready to use them. You set them, you place them where you need them, you turn them on, test them, everything looks good, you shut them down, and you have that battery life being saved for your event later in the day while you focus on other things. And the same goes for our moving head fixtures that are RF remote control. You have the ability to go in and run these fixtures in totem mode. You can put them into sound activated mode or run any of their internal programs, all off of remote control, and you don't have to have direct line of sight of the sensor because it is RF technology.
That's right. Yeah, you don't have to have direct line of sight. That's huge. Now with the IR, do you have to have direct line of sight with that, or is that?
Yeah. So IR remote control, you do have to have a direct link or direct line of sight from the remote to the IR sensor on the fixture.
You can avoid that.
Yeah. And the reason that with the uplights, we didn't chase the RF technology with it is, number one, all of our uplights have wireless DMX built in. So we use the JMAZ technology. So you can wirelessly control these with something as small as that battery powered D24 DMX controller that we talked about earlier. Right. So if you really needed full control over it, that's the way to go. But with uplights, it's really kind of a set and forget type of a thing. You don't really create too much with that. Maybe you're shifting one color, every other fixture is a different color for the theme of the event. But, right. For the most part, you're going to set them, you're going to leave them on their static color, and you're going to walk away.
Right, remain stationary throughout the event.
Yeah, exactly. And a really cool piece with the wireless DMX is the capability to wirelessly daisy chain the fixtures. So you can have, in most cases, you're going to have a scrim or some kind of backlighting at maybe if you're a DJ at your DJ booth. Right. You have that number one fixture with you and you want to use that IR remote control, you can hit that trigger the first light, and the rest will follow.
It's huge. Do other lighting manufacturers offer that as well? Is that a common thing that they see in lights of that size and of that price?
In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. It just really depends on the manufacturer.
Okay. All right. Not naming any names or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned JMAZ, and that's a DMX wireless transceiver. Can you go into a little bit more about what that is and what it can do?
Yeah, so it's basically, think like wireless Wi-Fi, right? It runs on a 2.4 gigahertz signal, and essentially what it is, it's just the language that our fixtures communicate in. From our controllers, or even if you buy the dongle, the JMAZ dongle, you can place it into one of your existing systems if you're running a software or analog physical board, and this will send the signal wirelessly to your fixtures that you have set up around say a venue or maybe if you're doing a backyard type of an event. Or even in larger venues, you have full control over the fixtures wirelessly through the JMAZ technology.
That's you. And now you said it runs off a 2.4 gigahertz, which is the standard frequency for wireless routers and everything in that line. At least in wireless microphones, we know that frequency band can cause a lot of interference. We can have cut ins and outs. Is that something we experience on the lighting end as well, or is that a completely different thing to worry about?
Yeah, there's with wireless technology and wireless DMX, it does have different bands like your wireless microphones, like you mentioned. So if you do run into interference, you can switch the band to avoid that. In most cases, we've been selling these for some time now, and we really don't get feedback saying, hey, we're running into too many problems or anything like that. So it seems to be that with the way we have them set up, it seems to be working perfectly fine at the moment.
was gonna say it's not something I've heard of personally, where someone was like, "Oh, I was using this and my light just shut off randomly for some interference or something." Like, it is something I hear consistently with wireless microphones, and that's
Right.
why I just wanted to make sure, just in case. One of the next questions that we have is the 5050 FX bar is one of the most talked about or most popular light that we see from our resellers, potential dealers. What do you think it is that makes that light so popular? Is it seen in other manufacturers have something that's similar, or is it just a light completely on its own?
Yeah, at this point, I think there was, a very, and almost consumer, like a general consumer style fixture that has multiple effects. Now, I mean, completely different than what the effects bar 5050 is. But my point being is there've been some dabbles at units that offer, lasers and wash and blinder strobe type of features all in one. But I think what makes the effects bar 5050 so popular, number one, is going to be the price.
That is a
$250.
Yeah.
It's a heck of a buy. It's a 1 meter long, 3 foot, 3.39 feet in length. Has 2-watt warm white diodes down the middle, right? Those are the main diodes, and they're razor sharp, very narrow 2-degree beams. So you're getting some really great sharp beam effects. In between those main large diodes, you have a blinder or wash bright white light, so you have a lot of control. And by the way, all this is individually controllable, right? So each of those main LEDs you can pixel and control. And then we also have a row of RGB LEDs across the top and the bottom, which give you your wash effect. So I mean, essentially, it looks like a professional fixture. It is a professional fixture. It has a great build quality, all aluminum, no fan, heat sink built in, right? You got your power in, your power out, DMX in, DMX through, and a ton of internal built-in programs that are all triggered as well through DMX macros if you're in a bind to program. Or again, everything's pixel, so you can control everything the way you want to design it.
Right. That's awesome. And one of the cool things that I noticed about JMAZ is when we actually first got in our demo product, one of the first things that we did is we started to demo it out. We did it in a dark room at first, just to see the scenes and all the things that are automatically put into these lights. And then we took it outside, and I was actually blown away. Broad daylight, you could still see the light moving around and hitting the wall. It seems like, at least in my past experience, that JMAZ is incredibly bright in comparison to a lot of other products, and that's very important nowadays. That goes into the whole engineering and manufacturing thing as well, and it seems consistent in all the lights that you offer.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. I'm not going to say that we're the only ones that have this powerful of an LED, but it's a standard for us, 100%. I think what we see with other manufacturers is they might have a par can, and there's 3 different iterations of that par can with a lower powered LED or maybe less LEDs, and then it builds its way up to that fixture that you really want, which is maybe an 18 or 19 LED fixture, but the price points are way up there, and it's hard to achieve, especially as a mobile entertainer, if that's your part in the industry, or even if you're an installer or an integrator or a production company. You might have a budget for what you're working on, and with JMAZ, right, where I'm going to get what I need, I can actually get more than I need, right, because of the value, and then the intensity of it. I can actually do more than I wanted to. I can achieve more with this fixture than I would have maybe with a lower model of another brand.
Absolutely. So this is one thing I'm not too familiar with, but I've heard when you're buying, and again, not naming any names, but when you're buying other manufacturers, you most of the time have to stick within that manufacturer as you upgrade your setup. So say you buy some type of uplight, you have to continue to keep buying them for all the wireless to sync up and all that. Is JMAZ the same way, where if you're buying a JMAZ uplight, you have to continue to buy them and they all run within the same system, or can you mix and match as you go along? You're not stuck within just JMAZ.
Yeah, so that's a pretty cool feature that is built into our units. So we talked about YMAZ a little bit, and we're thinking, all of our uplights typically will have YMAZ built in. Some of our moving head fixtures will also have YMAZ built in. So you're not stuck in our ecosystem. You can definitely mix our products with other wireless technologies, just based on the universal tech. I won't say universal technology, but universal language that our fixtures will communicate with. So it's really just a matter of changing a setting, and you can literally sync these with other brands.
It's like, of course, we want everyone to buy JMAZ and keep all the JMAZ in the ecosystem and all that. But realistically, we know people are going to mix and match lights. It's just how things are.
Absolutely.
So we talked about a lot of things. I think we kind of went over who JMAZ is as an all. I mean, you guys have been on the market for 6 years and have made such a large impact, at least from what I've seen. Weren't you guys like recently nominated for an award or something like that? Did I hear that properly, or is that not a thing?
Yeah. So the Pixel Effects Bar 5050 was nominated by MSR, is a music and sound retailer magazine's product of the year 2020, lighting product of the year 2020. So we were up against some pretty prominent names, and some names that have been around since the 80s. And so to be part of that, this is actually our second year running with one of our products. Nominated both years. Unfortunately, we didn't take the award, and we understand. We're
getting nominated and only being on the market for 6 years is incredible.
Absolutely.
So it was 6 years in the United States. Was it any time before that in another country, or is it just 6 years across the board?
Our parent company has a little bit more history, and that was kind of going back into those computer chips and what Jason was doing beforehand, primarily here in the US, so not in other countries. But with the lighting stuff, it's been 100% based out of the US, and we've been fortunate enough to find ourselves in other countries and crossing the border, and that's actually one of the projects that we are currently working on, heading south of the border into Mexico. And so we currently have one of our team members, Jose Razo, down in Mexico. We're setting up shop down there now, and fine tuning and adjusting everything necessary to operate in that country, and we will be establishing a sales and distribution facility there, where we can then connect better and more easily with our customers in the Mexico and South American areas.
Awesome. Well, I just got a ping from Tony saying Frank and them want to run the NAMM video. They just want to play it in the background, and then we can kind of call out some of the products that we see and that's used, kind of like we were doing earlier with the video we showed when we first started. So Tony, if you want to pop that video on, you are more than welcome to. Should we mute our videos for this so it can be seen, or?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Let's do it. We'll pop it back on in a sec.
So no
audio.
No audio. But you see those red bars going up the truss and then down the middle and down back. That's the Pixel Effects Bar 5050, with the product that we've spent a little bit of time talking about, and that was nominated for lighting product of the year 2020 with MSR. But you see a ton of effect there. We had those white beams that are flashing there, strobes and blinder type effect as well. Those are the smaller LEDs on the lower portion below the LED video wall. Is the Crazy Beam 40 Fusion.
You guys,
and of course, we have
video walls, right?
Yeah, we were going to say we really didn't touch on that, but yeah, we also have LED video walls that are part of our catalog that we stock and service here in the US as well.
See, that's a huge thing that I feel like the pro market would jump on in a heartbeat, because you guys are, again, competitively priced with the LED walls as well. I mean, obviously, we're not naming any pricing for this. We're not going too deep into that. If you guys or anyone's watching this video has questions about that, please feel free to reach out to us. Okay, so we went over the bars. The moving heads on the bottom, did you touch on that yet?
Yeah, so below the LED video wall on the back, those are the Crazy Beam 40 Fusion moving head fixtures. They're a really simple fixture, but there's the price point on them. You can really, you can buy a dozen of them and stay below a couple grand. It's crazy what you can get out of them. 60 watt LED is the main beam. It's an RGBW, so it doesn't have a color wheel or gobo wheel. But it gives you a beam effect, but it also has quarter-watt LEDs ring around the main center beam. Extremely small fixture, extremely fast. You see all those vibrant colors that are coming out of that right there below this video wall.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a ton of great effect out of it. And again, super high power.
I was gonna say, you guys have a little bit of fog running in the background as well to make these lights, have the beam more noticeable, right? Okay.
Right, absolutely. And we don't really dabble in the fog area at this point. Atmospherics, I think really the Firestorm F3s is probably the most we really get into with the fog stuff right now. And it's not for a lack of motivation in that space. It's really because we're focusing on what we have.
Right.
We don't want to bite too much off, right? Get too much on our plate, and we can't focus on developing our current product and making it better, for the user and the consumer. So we really want to focus on what we have and make that better for our customer base.
And that's another thing too, is the fog atmospheric lighting is a very common thing in the market now. I feel like a lot of people already have that out there. And the Firestorm we've mentioned a few times. I wish we had a video to show of what that thing can do, because that is incredible. Like, it shoots sparks up in the air, right? This and you can just run your hand over it. It doesn't burn you or anything, but it looks like actual fire and stuff like that coming out. That is a very cool product. And I've heard a few resellers saying that they've sold very well throughout the last few months during COVID, which is even more impressive. Frank mentioned in the chat here that you guys also sell trusses.
Yeah. So the trussing rig there at both the LDI show and the NAMM video that we watched here through this live stream. Yes, it's all of our stuff. It is, conical connector or F34 style, right? So it is universal with other brands as well. So if you're already in somebody else's, ecosystem or working with other brands that are available, we can also interface with those and connect seamlessly. The rating and information on these on the truss is, it's equivalent, if not better, than some of the other stuff out on the market. So really just depending on your space that you're looking for. And we stock this, this is something that, again, that's part of our catalog, and we offer the solution all the way around. And our goal is if you don't want to have to mix and match, you can come to us. You can get everything you need.
Yeah, that's huge. Because I was going to say, a lot of other lighting brands don't offer truss. So and they are competitively priced within the market as well, which is also very nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. Let's see. Is there any other questions or something like that the chat might have? I haven't really been checking it at all on my end. I kind of went through all the questions I had. Eric, is there anything that you would like to add, or?
Really, like you said, and you mentioned this earlier in the chat or in the conversation. We're all hands on, right? We don't wear one hat. It's like my title here at the company doesn't really matter, because I'll be here doing this with you, right? I'll be here, having a conversation in a live stream, or I will be picking up the phone if you called in with customer service questions, right? You had, hey man, I bought this fixture, I'm having some trouble. Perfect example. Last week, Friday, I spent over an hour on the phone with somebody, helping walk them through our wireless DMX communication from a Uplight to our D24 wireless controller. And just somebody it's somebody who's never owned lighting before, and this is their first dabble at it. And I was there to help him get from, I opened the box, it's not doing anything. What do I do next, right? And walked him through the whole process. Jason, the owner of the company, he's also on that call, block. He's part of the customer service part of it too.
So you could get the owner of the company when you're calling customer service? Oh man.
Yeah, you never know. You never know who you're going to speak with. But that's how committed we are to the customer service aspect of the brand. And 100%, we want our customers to be able to go out there and get the information from where they purchased. But we understand it. Hey, you know what? Sometimes it's not an easy answer, and we might have that information, and it's a little bit easier for us to talk about it. We have the fixtures in front of us. We can pull them out, and we can, hey, are you doing this?
Yeah, that's big.
Here's FaceTime. Let's FaceTime call. Let's Zoom call. We can video. Yeah, I mean, Jason's a big fan of FaceTime. So yeah, if you get Jason on the phone and you're running into some trouble, hey, you know what? Let me FaceTime you. Is this your cell phone? You know, I'll FaceTime you or I'll Zoom. Yeah.
It's such like a personal touch that you can't find anywhere else. Not that I know of, at least. You know, it's very impressive. And also, you know, with signing on outside sales reps like us, you know, we're also a hand that can help with stuff like this as well. You know, we normally don't talk to the end users as much unless we're doing an event like this or we're out at the store and we're, you know, communicating. But, you know, we're happy to help with stuff like that as well. We can jump on FaceTime calls and walk through the product as much as possible too. So,
Zach,
what's up, Frank?
I never like to disappoint. So you asked for this.
Firestorm video.
The God voice came through.
Yeah. Startled me there for a moment there, Frank.
Here, let's mute our
Apologize. I do that all the time.
Let's mute our video so we can see this, and I'm gonna pin it. So it's sparks coming out of this unit, and it's cold sparks, so you can run your hand through it.
Right. Yeah. So it's basically this is the powder that's used in this is actually titanium. So the engine in this unit heats up the titanium, and then there is a motor that shoots it out. As soon as it hits the air, it cools down, and you know, cool enough to where you can touch it by hand. And then as it floats down in the air, it cools completely, and by the time it hits the ground, it's just dust.
So completely safe, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to practice, you know, safety. It's not, you know, there's sometimes you're at venues and there's younger kids, and you know, hey, what's that? And they want to put their face over the hole, and so you definitely have to, you know, common sense, right? Practice safety. But I mean, it is in the matter of the unit itself and what it does. It is safe. There is a tilt sensor on it, so if it goes over a certain tilt degree, it'll actually shut itself off so that it won't shoot. So let's just say the unit falls over, it won't start shooting into an electrical box or anything like that. Yeah. So
I was gonna say the stuff that you use to refill it, you were saying is titanium, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
How you guys obviously sell the component to fill it up and everything like that. Is it an expensive thing to do? Because I know fog juice is very costly if you are doing it quite a bit. Is it kind of the same for this?
I mean, it really depends on how you look at it. You know, I think with whether it's production rentals or, you know, mobile entertainment, there's an upcharge for this. This isn't just come out of like, hey, I'm a DJ, I'm going to show up with all this equipment. Maybe for some guys that are starting out, maybe they do, but there's typically some kind of an upcharge. So when you look at, hey, I have a pack of these, right? A 2-pack of these. I'm going to bring them out to your event, and I'm going to use them for, you know, X part of your event. There's an upcharge of X amount of dollars. When you look at it that way, no, the powder is fairly inexpensive, and it also lasts you quite some time. So it's a 7.5 ounce bag of the titanium powder or cold spark powder. It's about 200 grams, you know, depending on how you like to measure that. But that lasts you roughly about 15 minutes. So there's, you know, 15 minutes of runtime in that one bag. And so some people can get several events out of that one bag of powder.
Right.
So,
like you're saying, you're only going to pop it up for a few seconds for a specific part in a song or a specific part of the event, photo shoots, etc. I mean, that's impressive. I don't know of any other manufacturer that makes a product specifically like that. Now, are there any things, at least in our territory, do you need any type of permit to use this or anything like that? Is that a thing, or can you just purchase it, plug it in, good to go?
So it all depends on your territory. I know things constantly change. You know, I think in the New Jersey area, you do need a permit,
which is easy to get, by the way.
Yeah.
You just
okay.
walk into it, purchase it.
I've heard good things. I don't really know the cost. I don't really know everything behind it, but I do. You know, my understanding is it's not like you're jumping through hoops. This is a fairly simple process. That
Online,
you know,
sign it out, you're good to go. I don't even think it costs any money either. I think it's like you just make sure you have it. I don't know 100%, but New Jersey, that is the case. New York, I don't think needs a permit.
Yeah.
But,
so definitely check your jurisdiction, right? Because it can vary by city, by county, by state.
right.
You know, but at the end of the day, you know, they are, you know, really safe to use. Again, practice common sense. Yeah. Yeah, definitely a great added feature, added bonus, and we see a lot more of this. And again, throughout this pandemic, we've seen a ton of these moving through our facility.
Which is so crazy too, right? Like to think about it, like you're locked in home, and obviously people were doing it for other reasons and stuff. I'm sure a photo shoot with that thing would look absolutely incredible. It's something
Yeah.
I want to mess with.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I think I've seen these at like an outdoor block party type of thing, right? You're in your own driveway in a neighborhood, and that's where I've seen. So when I think about these going out during the current climate or the previous climate that we've been in, I think of these people are out here buying it for. Obviously, they're going to use it after the fact, but for right now, they're enjoying it with their neighbors. They're a community type of a thing. So it's fun and exciting to think every time we, these are sold. It's like, all right, it's probably going to go and it's going to make some 5-year-old happy that can't have a birthday party, but the neighborhood's going to be out celebrating in this way.
Man, that's so cool. And thank God 2020 is behind us.
100%.
But anyway, I mean, I feel like we've gone through. I was mentioning earlier, we've gone through who JMAZ is, what you guys have to offer as a manufacturer, as a company. You are very hands-on. The whole company seems very hands-on and is not afraid to talk to end users, not afraid to reach out for people for more information to sell product. It's overall very impressive. And I think we are running out of time, so I want to end it out. So thank you so much, Eric, for taking the time to hop on today, giving us all the information, answering the questions. If anyone has questions afterwards, since we kind of ran through most of it, definitely feel free to reach out to either myself or Eric, Frank or Tony. We're all happy to help answer your questions and go from there. Eric, do you have anything you want to say before we end it?
Yeah, I just, thank you guys so much. Everybody at the Peter E. Schmidt Company, we really appreciate you guys. If there's any questions out there from somebody looking for more information from our product, again, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'll put you in contact with either the rep in your territory or a dealer within your area to help you find the product, get your hands on it, and learn a little bit more.
Heck yeah. Also, another beautiful thing is since the territory is opening back up, the reps are going to start traveling to the store, showing the product more. So if we have some dealers in here, potential dealers, you want to see a specific product, let us know. We'll talk to Eric, make sure we get it in our hands so that we can bring it to you and give you a full-on demonstration of what it is.
Absolutely. We're here to support you 100%. My biggest thing is it's partnerships. I've been doing this for 11 years. The name on the shirt's changed a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's all about partnerships. I think if anybody who's worked with me in the past understands what that really means to me. So
heck yeah. All right, cool. Well, beautiful. Thank you again, Eric, for your time. And Tony, you can run the outro. All right. Thanks.
Okay, so that's a wrap for this edition of S-TEC Live. I want to thank Eric and Zack for this amazing conversation today, and I want to thank you all for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. And Eric, I really want to thank you for sharing your knowledge and time with us. It was so fascinating to learn all of this info about JMAZ. We have another S-TEC Live featuring another brand we represent, QSC. April 22nd at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be talking about the QSys ecosystem and some of the newer products that have recently come out. If you're interested in joining us for that, we have put a link tree in the chat, which includes registration for that, as well as links to the Peter E. Schmidt Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and more, which are the places to be to get the most up-to-date info from us. So, once again, I want to thank you all for joining us. I know for sure that I have learned a lot. And just as I say on our S-TEC TV videos, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. We'll see you next time. Bye!